Our Director of Strategic Analysis Australia, and he joins me now. Peter Jennings, thanks for your time. I mean, you must be as disappointed as me about this election campaign that seems utterly disconnected with what we're seeing going on in the world.
Yes, Andrew. I mean, we keep waiting for the penny to drop. Both sides are sort of revolving around the boy saying, well, we're serious about national security. But where are the details? What is it that they propose to do? For decades, we've drifted along, spending typically just under about 2% of gross domestic product on defence. It's not enough for the environment that we're facing. So we desperately need to have a serious conversation about national security.
Now, your book is chocker full of examples of what to do, a long list of stuff as well. I particularly like the bit of, send, a group of people, an envoy or whatever, to Ukraine and learn from them how to defend themselves against a much more powerful enemy. What do you think needs to be done? What are your top tips here?
So three things. We've got to get the Defence Force stronger quickly, and that means we've got to stop focusing on planning for the fantasy force that Defence obsesses about sometime in the 2030s and 40s. And I'm going to hold the book up, Andrew. We make a whole series of recommendations here about what it is that a government can do in the next 3 years. That is going to involve buying some defence equipment items from overseas. In particular, we advocate for the B-21 long-distance bomber from the US, which frankly should help us with the Trump administration. So get stronger quicker. Then the next thing we need to do is we've got to grow Australian defence industry because we can't rely on overseas supply. So we need missiles, we need ammunition, we need large numbers of drones of all different types, all the consumables of war, and they have to be produced domestically. And then finally, Andrew, I think we need to get lateral in our thinking. There's an awful lot of emphasis on building a defence force which looks like it's going to fight previous wars, where I think what we're seeing, as you've pointed to in the case of Ukraine, is an example of how modern wars are shaping. Which does involve a lot of autonomous systems, a lot of drones, a lot of disposable drones that aren't going to last much longer than an hour or two on the battlefield. So we need to get lateral about that and stop obsessing about the hugely expensive, beautiful technology platforms which we buy for at sea and underwater, but we can only afford tiny numbers of them. And at the end of the day, they're probably so expensive that we wouldn't want to send them into harm's way anyway. So stronger, more domestic production and more lateral thinking, that's what we need.
Well, I was struck by Ukraine. They managed to build their own missile production facilities in the teeth of war within 3 years. They're firing long-range missiles into Russia. They also managed to create a massive drone industry. As far as I can tell, with this example before us of what can be done, I think our army, the last time I looked at, only one drone in production or in service. I mean, it's just quite extraordinary how asleep we've been.
So the Ukrainians have always been a centre of defence technology production since the Soviet Union days. But of course, under the pressure of conflict, they've done some quite remarkable lateral, clever things, including many things which aren't that expensive. Pioneering, for example, the idea of being able to use commercial drones to drop, explosives onto tanks. But then think also, Andrew, about how they developed really in no time at all, a cruise missile that was able to sink the Russian carrier, the Moskva, in the Black Sea. So under pressure, they can do tremendous things. I'm actually very confident that Australian industry can do that too, but they need contracts from Defence. Australian small and medium-sized industry cannot get contracts out of the Defence Department. Either they go to the wall or they go to the United States. And so we need some of our defence spending to flow in the direction of Australian industry.
We've actually got a company that's sending drones to Ukraine, or has sent drones to Ukraine. Why can't we develop that? I don't get it. Peter Jennings, thank you so much indeed for your time.